Okay, we live. Okay, let me make sure. Let me check. Switch. Let's see. Yes, it's working. Perfect. Okay. I'm finna edit it and make sure I tag you in it.
Okay.
Hold on. Doula Talk Tuesday. Okay, perfect. All right, we are live and sorry for the lateness. Y'all, please send a prayer up for my dad. Right now, he is in ICU, so I have been traveling. I'm halfway home. I had to make a pit stop and rest, but I just knew I had to continue. I feel as I already know he wouldn't want me to stop, so I'm not going to stop. And this is also a way for me to release. So, without further ado, this is Doula Talk Tuesday. I'm very excited for this conversation because number one, oh my gosh, me and this girl go way back because my birthing story is with her. She is a part of my birthing story. As far as finding support, getting the village. She was there at the very beginning when I knew I wanted to do a home birth, when I didn't have family in Jackson. I found her. I found her organization, and she's going to go more into detail. But without further ado, I want her to introduce herself, say a little bit about her, what she's doing, because, baby, she's a jack of all trades. Baby, her whole
Oh,
family is a jack of trades. So I know she's going to talk about that. But yes, so go ahead and take it away.
yeah, I'm like super excited. I'm honored to be on your platform. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And I just knew, like I said, this year I was like, I'm gonna be in the cut. I'm gonna be in the corner. I'm not gonna do too much. I had Zeke at the top of the year, and I said I'm not gonna do anything. But once she reached out to me, I was like, of course, this is like a full circle moment. Because just
Yes.
thinking back, like you were with me before I was like married. Um, I had a little boyfriend. That was like that job was like my first like real big girl job other than like the
Yeah.
health department. So I was like doing things in the world when we first met. So now to see that you're like into doing now, because of course I'm gonna try to recruit everybody that I can into the work that we do, but to see you like actually doing it now, like I'm so like proud of you and proud of the work that you're doing, and I just encourage you to
Thank
continue.
you. Thank
But as
you.
far as myself, I'm Tara Shaw. A lot of people still know me as Miss Clifton, or Tyra, because most people call me Tyra. And so I say doula on vacation. I've always claimed that doula on vacation. I'm now a student midwife. I'm a mother of two now, and of course, I'm a wife. I enjoy life. I enjoy books, and I really, really love women. I love vaginas. I love babies. I love like to study the anatomy of it all, because it's just all so beautiful, and just the way that God has uniquely made the body. It's just always so
Yes.
interesting. Like I love the work because there's always something that I can be educated about or something that I can educate others about. So I love this work because there's when you think you know it all, there is more for you to like learn and know. So I really enjoy the work that I do, and I've been doing it probably for about as long as like I've had my daughter AC, because of her is how and why I got into this work. So it's just a little bit about me.
She could say a little bit more, but I'm gonna let her keep it brief for right now because we just getting started. But again, this is really is a full circle moment, and this really is gonna piggyback the topic of discussion, which is having or how to create your village or find support, because that's really is the key thing when it comes to your labor, your delivery, when you first find out you're pregnant, and even your postpartum care is finding the support. So, with your expertise and perspective, what have you seen as far as the current worker line, as far as the reasons why women need to create support maybe outside of their family, or reasons why support is needed during the pregnancy?
Because child, the village is gone. Like there is no village. If you got a village, it's because you paid for it. And
Yeah.
if you don't have the access to it, and even down to the education to even know or understand that you need it, because a lot of times for us, so just speaking on my background, I didn't see big villages besides like grandma, granddad, like stepping in. There were no father figures. So my mom was everything to us until she got married. And then when she got divorced, it was back to her doing it all. And so I come from a background of seeing strong Black women, but not necessarily villages. And so
Yeah.
when I got into this work, there was something big in my heart to create for people. I believe in collective care. I don't believe in solo practices because that is a straight up way for you to lead to burnout. If I am going to do the work, and I feel like if the work is going to continue, I feel like we have to do it together because women need all types of care. It's not enough for a woman to have a great OB. It's not enough for her to have a doula. She needs, I tell people all the time, if you are working with mom, she needs a birth doula, she needs a postpartum doula, she needs a therapist, she needs a lactation counselor, she needs it all, and she needs the works. And so um, just a little bit of my backstory. I got into doula work because of my daughter. I had a horrible birth story, but I know there are others, and I recognize that there are others who experienced more traumatic things than I did. But for me, it really was the catalyst that changed everything that I wanted to do because I wanted to teach children in Japan. Like, I love English, I love books, so I wanted to go over there and to teach people. And I had the background, and I went to school for English writing. I tell people
Mhm.
all the time, like, I didn't go to school for none of the work that I do. Like,
Yeah.
I got a little degree that's sitting up there on my bookshelf, in
That's
psychology and
that
English
always needed.
writing. And so all that I do, it comes from like my life experiences, and I feel like God doesn't waste anything. And if you feel like you're going through something, it's because it's gonna serve you in some type of purpose when it's in due season and when it's time. And so I had a horrible birth experience with my daughter. I think it was my freshman, sophomore year at MC. And so like this girl was on Facebook that I knew that went to Jackson State, but she had moved to DC, was like talking about like a doula. And I was like, yo, what is this? Like, what is a doula? She was talking about it on Twitter. At that time it was called Twitter. So she was on Twitter talking about it, and I had never heard of it. And like she was like telling me all of these things that she was doing for mothers. And I was like, yo, my birth experience would have been completely different if I would have had this like doula. And I don't even think I know how to say. I think I was
Yeah.
saying doulo at the time. Like, I didn't even know what it was like, how to
I
pronounce it,
do.
because I don't know I'm country. So I got into the work, and this is why I say like we need strong women. We need women who are sitting the elevators down, because I ran
Yeah.
into a lady here that's been in the community for forever, Cassandra. That was one of the first people that I encountered. That was like, I was like, she's a doula. Like, she's actually doing this. She's
Yeah.
making a living off of this. So she quickly got me into the work, introduced me to Miss Wingora. She took a chance on me at the time. I was getting so much into the work that like I did a whole project on looking at women birth stories and seeing like what were women truly saying about their birth experiences. So I took my whole senior year. I dedicated my senior project for my psychology major and for my English writing. I did a dual project on birth stories from women, analyzing their trends and analyzing the things that they were saying about their birth experiences. And I found parallels almost exactly like that could measure up to what I was saying that happened in my birth experience. And they're in New York, they're in Cali, like we're all stating that these are the things that
Yeah.
are happening. These are negative things that are happening, and nobody is addressing them. Nobody is meeting these needs that we have. Like, I don't feel seen, I don't feel heard. Things were happening to me that I didn't want to happen to me. All of these things were, being said, and it wasn't just based upon race. These are all women of all different backgrounds saying that these things are happening. And so Miss Wingora gave me opportunities to get into doula work. I took the doula training. I had my first client, and I said, I ain't doing this no more. After that first client, I said, oh no. Everything that could have happened that went bad, went bad. I found out that I had my own personal bias, even with the like people of my like I didn't think like a woman of I worked my first client was a woman of color, and even in that I found that I had my biases. Things happened, things came up Never serve a person. If you knew, don't think you should serve somebody who's 36, 37 weeks pregnant and you have not established no type of relationship with them. But I thought I knew,
Yeah.
met this lady the day she was going into labor and thought I can go up there and doula her. Everything that could have went wrong. And I was in there crying, looking crazy. And so like
No.
after that happened, I said, they did not prepare me for this. I'm finna be done with this. And I went home and told my mama, yeah, I need to stay in school. And just like that, I say, God got jokes. 6 months later, the opportunity came up for me to be over this particular program that I worked for. So it went from me being like, I guess, one of the doulas to me being over the doulas. And so I was really young. These are women, who have years on me. They've
Yeah.
been in the work, they've done this work longer than I have, and so I was like, they not gonna listen to me. And the community not gonna listen to me because like I'm at that
Yeah.
point I was 24. So I didn't know anything. Like, yeah, I had a
Wow.
daughter, I had like experience, but like I was really young when I think I had just
Yeah.
turned for that. And so getting into the work though, I knew that I wanted to create a sense of community, not just for the women but also for the doulas.
Yeah.
I feel like we always want to address the women, and that's important. The birthing mothers, the birthing people, they're really important, but I think also we need to take care of the people who take care of people. And
Exactly.
so I wanted to make sure their cups were being filled because that wasn't happening. And so I was just like, okay, I don't want another cookie cutter program. I want a program where I can address all the needs. And like we had
Yeah.
all of this money. And so I'm like, what are we doing with this money? Like, what can we do to make sure everybody is feeling appreciated? And I feel like the only way we can do that, and I used to say this all the time and I still say it, we can't serve people from the desk. We have to serve the
Mm.
people by going to where they are. And so that's why in the program you would see me a lot of times doing the baby showers. I would be at the community fairs. I would be, because I'm like,
She be in the
my people.
field.
Like, I gotta know my people. Like, how do I know them if I'm sitting up at the office? Like,
Yeah.
the beautiful thing that happened in this was COVID, because COVID gave me the flexibility to work from home where I could be like, all right, I'm finna get up and
Yeah.
meet you. Or if it was time for me to be on the phone with a mom, I could I'd sit on the phone with a mom for 2 hours because like I'm sitting on the couch. Like I'm
Mhm.
talking to her and kicking with her. Like she's one of my girls, but I'm trying to make sure she gets connected with one of my doulas. So that allowed me the opportunity to make like lifelong connections with some of the moms that came into our program, because I found that like I can treat this like, oh, I hate to say it, like I'm the person of authority and you're here. Like I have all this
Yeah.
education about the birthing experience and you're down here. Like you can only learn, like we can learn from each other because I've learned a lot from you all. And so it was more of a personable relationship that I was able to build, not even with the doulas and with the birthing people, but I feel like in the community I was big on making sure our organization was connecting with other organizations, because I recognize that like we can only do so much and I don't want to reinvent the wheel. If you're already doing
Mhm.
stuff with like postpartum folks and you're the expert, like shout out to mommy Lauren them over there. I was like, I know them. She knows what she's talking about. Go to them. So oftentimes
Yeah.
if my mom was on the phone with me, she was talking about, I'm experiencing postpartum anxiety. I'm experiencing this. Oh, in my head, I'm like, all right, I know that we can give them doula services for sure. We can give them diaper
Mhm.
services for sure. But I'm gonna need you to go over to them and connect. Like even if I have to connect you out personally, you need to be
Yeah.
going up and talking to them, utilizing their service, because I can only do so much. I want to send you to the experts, and I know if this is what I'm good at, I know this is what they're good at. So go work with them, and we can work together to try to figure out what you need. That is what the village is about. It's about people coming together and recognizing and being okay with, I'm okay with this skill set. I'm great at this skill set and you're great at that skill set. It's not one person being in competition. Like it's not us against them. It's all of us working together to make
Mhm.
what you need. And just speaking about that, when it comes to doulaing, when I first started this work, and when a lot of the women, the amazing women I get opportunity to work with, when we first started, ain't nobody know what a doula was. Doctors didn't know what it was. The mamas didn't know what it was. Like it was like crazy. And when we would get on the phone and I would talk to a mom, they would be like, "What is a doula?" And I would tell them what a doula is. Not a daddy mad and the grandma mad because they just like she trying to take our spot. And I'm like, "Huh? We're not trying to take our spot. This is what we gonna do, because you know her best. You know her." And I would always bring it up and bring it full circle for people about that. when I would talk about the postpartum period, because you finna be
Yeah.
here. When she get to talking, as y'all would say, crazy. You're like, this is what you're gonna do. That is when you reach back out to me again, teaching everybody how to best serve the mother. When everybody has the priority of she is first, that is how we make sure moms are not being left out, to hang, and dry. Like we're making sure they get everything that they need when we're making sure and putting the mom at the center of everything. Everybody has a role. No person is bigger than the other. The goal is to make sure mom's needs are met, baby needs are met. But first off, I'm always say I'm checking for the mom first, because if mom's not okay,
Mhm.
baby's not okay. I
Yep.
think we like to think about baby a lot, but like it's like, what about this mother? She's gone
Mother.
so much. Learning the things that I'm learning in my student midwifery journey, like learning that a lot of those hormones like instantly drop as soon as baby is delivered.
Girl.
There's a lot of things going on. Even myself with having a home birth, I was like, bro, I thought I knew. I did not.
Mhm.
And so it's just a lot. So like I'm big on, I always say this, individualized care.
Yes.
What somebody else may need may not be what I need. The way that I need affection, everybody talks about self-care. That is important, yes, but it's recognizing that it looks very differently based on that person's background, their trauma, their triggers, their health, their demographic. All of those things play a role, and we can't address one mom like how we address the other. So I was big on that with the program, making sure that we had an individualized approach to every mother that we served. Which is why, even when you first came in the program, I wanted to know about, like, as I at the time I was saying like, your vibe, like what's your vibe? And I was big on, like, if I knew that she was talking about that she wanted a home birth, she wanted it super quiet, and she sounded like she was willing to do what she needed to do. Baby, I'm finna send you straight on to the shot too, because I'm just like, she's the person for you. Like, I knew my doulas well enough to be like, okay, this mom may be high risk. She wants all the monitors. She wants all of this. I know to send you to Kashana. That is a girl.
Yeah.
She's that girl in the hospital setting. That is where she thrives. Like, that's so important. If you're a leader, you have to know where put your aces in their places.
Mhm.
Again, that's a part of that village. Grandma knew how to work that kitchen. She knew where to put the people in the kitchen. And that's what I
Yes.
think we have to, think about when we're thinking about organizations, creating organizations, when we're thinking about working with mothers, when we're thinking about working that birthing team. Dads are really good with getting their hands dirty and getting thinking about all the logistics. They're good
Mhm.
with repairing things. That is a role. If you got a
Yeah.
home birth, he to be putting that birth pool up. You know how to figure out how to fix those faucets. Grandma, she anxious. She walking back and forward. She need to be in there cooking. The kids, what are they good at? Keeping the energy high, keeping laughter going, having, so everybody has a role to play, and we have to think about that in leadership, as doulas, as doctors. Those are things that comes to my mind when I think about the village.
It's so many parts I want to break down. So let's just start with the first part. And Candace, hey girl, she did touch on it, and I just want to show her comment again. Having resources is so important in this line of work, and yes, it is. Just piggybacking on what she said. When I knew I wanted to do a home birth, I instantly start. Number one, y'all, a simple Google mothers. Start googling resources in your community. I found Safer Birth. I found Sisters. What is it? I think Sisters in Birth. I think that was the name of it.
Mhm.
That's how I found Mommy. That's how I started finding potential midwives. At first I found Cassandra, but she was booked up. So that's how she referred me to Tony. And I got with Tony in the look of time. And she was real serious with me. He was like, now look now. I'm
Mhm.
finna be full, so you gotta let me know. And then at first, I was with someone else as a doula, and like you said, it's all about resources. She passed me along to Nishatu, and the rest was history. So it's very important to utilize resources, and then also just piggybacking on us in the birth work. We don't have to gatekeep resources. We should be open and free to share, put other people into play. If you know you booked up, sis, pass that mother along to somebody else, because it's millions and millions of people, women having babies babies, and you don't have to gatekeep it all. Like, share the resources so the next person can use it. So I really think that is vital. And number two, going to what a doula is so many people don't know what a doula is. And with me just becoming a doula, I was just telling my family member, the first phase I'm on right now is just educating people, because a lot of people don't even know the capacity of what a doula does, how important she or maybe he is, and the value they can bring not only during your pregnancy, but most important afterwards. Because I can contest, if I would have really like tapped in and got like a postpartum doula, many of the situations that I went through postpartum, it would have been alleviated, or I wouldn't have been so much like, I feel like everything was a burden, because I would have had that extra support. So it's very important, for those of you all who are thinking about getting pregnant, who are even currently pregnant, is figuring out your resources, and also try to figure in having a postpartum doula, having that village, and who is going to be your village. So yeah, I want to say add that.
Really good, really, really good. And that just brings to my mind a lot of people talk about, and like I said when I first got on here, if you want a village, you got to pay for it. Unfortunately, that is just what it is in our United States today. That is gone. Like reading some of the books that I read for that's required for the program that I'm in. Lots of time back in the day, at this big grown age I am, I probably would have already been catching babies, because it was something that like everybody did. If you were a woman,
Yeah,
you were helping other women have babies. That's just what it was. It was a big thing where we were sitting down shucking peas while she over there going, experiencing contractions. That was a thing. It was known. It was
it was.
celebrated. Then like after she had that baby, everybody, like I remember my mama telling me don't leave the house after I had like stay in that
Mhm.
house, and like mothers can't fathom that moms didn't leave the house for 2 months straight. Like I didn't do that with AC. I ended up getting really sick because I'm trying to be out and buying her stuff, and so I ended up getting sick with AC, and then AC was in the NICU for like a month because I ended up getting out.
Wow.
But with Zeke, baby, I said I wasn't playing none of those games. I was in the house. When I say I was in the house, I was in the house for a month straight, like a month, maybe 45 days. I didn't come out of the house. I think yeah, about 40, because like the ice storm, it had to be a month. Because the ice storm ended up coming down at the beginning of January, so we weren't able to get out. But I was serious about I wasn't gonna leave the house. I remember when I left the house, I felt like what is it show that everybody was watching, like with the blind, you walk outside, you're gonna be blind. It was on Netflix,
Oh, yeah,
bird
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I
Bird.
was
Yeah,
like,
I know that. Yeah.
yeah, so like the sun was hurting my eyes. Like it felt like I don't know. It felt so surreal because like I had never been in that house. Like my husband was like, "I'm gonna handle this."
That long, yeah.
Everybody was bringing stuff to me. Like it was such a beautiful thing, and I felt so well rested because I was able to be in the house. Like I did the 5-5-5, and for people who don't know what that is literally for 5 days. You don't leave your bed unless you have to use the restroom, and then after those 5 days are over, you can come sit on the couch, and then after that you may, go sit outside or sit by a window sill to get the sun in. But like I was really big on making sure that I had some type of village during that postpartum period. And that was my husband's family. They were great and understand. Like they ain't understand why I want to have that baby at home. But they was big on it. Look, you ain't going outside, don't have that hair, all loud. Don't be
Yeah.
They were big on it. So I thank them for that. For people who are like, how can I afford this? Number one, I get it, folks. Folks may not like this coming, but I get it, folks, about them baby showers. Y'all, we be having baby showers that are like literally wedding styles. That $1,500, that's half of your midwife. That's that down payment on that midwife. That $1,500,
Right.
that's somebody doula fee. um, baby showers. I think we should celebrate. We should definitely celebrate having babies. It is such a beautiful thing. But also, I think we need to start understanding that it is a real thing that when you walk into whatever setting, whether it's at home or whether it's at the hospital, that it's a real chance that you or that baby may not come out because of
Mhm.
somebody being incompetent or because somebody trying to speed up the process. You just never know. birth, you're so close to death. And I know that we don't like to talk about this part, but it's a real reality, especially if you're a person of color.
Yeah.
And I think that we go into it thinking that it's not me. It won't be me. That's not my story. There was so and so, so and so. But y'all, we live in Mississippi. We are not prepared for birth the way that we should be. I see so many moms going through so many issues, and I seen this in the program. When I was in the program, I would be seeing it would be 70 moms in the program, and it was a range of people. But a lot of the issues I saw came down to nutrition. So that's why I had a lot of moms working with nutritionists, preeclampsia, gestational diabetes, excessive stress, issues in the marriage, which is why I was just like, I wanted a therapist to come in to not address the individual, but to address the entire family. If you and your husband into it, or you and your boyfriend into it, or if y'all are in the same whatever, if y'all into it every day, all day, do you think this is gonna be a great situation? Or I used to tell people, and for everybody who's just like, we need a doula, we need a doula. Yes, getting a doula or getting these extra support systems are great. But if that mom can't pay her light bill, if they ain't got no food, she can't begin to hear whatever. I don't want to hear about breastfeeding. I don't know where my next meal coming from. I heard that and it blew my mind. I was on a conference and someone said we need to start giving moms information when they're at a place to intake that information, when they're in a place to have it, to hear the information. And that it starts with addressing her basic needs. So we had
Needs.
forms that our moms had to complete, and one of the forms I pushed for that intake, asking, do you have any financial burdens? Like, what is really going on with you?
That's
How can we
good.
address that for your doula? Your doula is not good. Like, I feel like having something and don't know and not knowing that you need it is one thing, but having something and not being able to truly use that thing is a detriment. And so
Yeah.
if you can't pay your bills, if you don't know where your meal is coming from, this doula is not of good use to you, because you see, and I saw it in the program, you see this doula as a means to get you what you need. And I'm not downing
Mhm.
people for that, but when you're in survival mode, the only thing you can think about it is they told me if I'm gonna get this doula, I'm gonna have access to these diapers, these wipes. I don't care nothing
Mhm.
about no childbirth education class, but I'm gonna come because I know they're gonna give me all of this stuff.
Mhm.
And so I saw that. But then I also would see, because they're in such a place of survival and will do anything for these diapers and wipes, because y'all, they high, they expensive. They would do
Mhm.
anything. They would get the short end of the stick because they don't understand what their doctor's talking about. They said
Yeah.
yes to stuff when they really meant no, because they didn't take the process seriously. Like, yeah, they had a doula, but the doula couldn't get over to them. Like, they couldn't pick them up. They couldn't pick up the phone. Like, they couldn't get connected to them. They got their mama phone number, the child's father phone number, but can't get connected to them because nobody takes them seriously, because they only dealt with them in order to get what they needed, which
Yeah.
I think that's a true thing, because the economy and the way things are set up and in the environments and the people that we serve, that was like they came into our facility, nice facility, but then had to go home to what they went home to. I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I had this like two moms. One of them was a sex worker, and she was 21, and she had 5 kids, and she was on her sixth baby. And that was a real reality. And this mom did not have any support. And so I said, baby, and my husband would get on my case about it. Just call me if you need me. And this girl called me and connected me to everybody that was in her apartment complex. So she was like, y'all ain't giving out diapers and wipes. And I had all of these moms come to me for diapers and wipes, and it broke my heart, because it was just like, I understand that they need this. And Lord, if I could buy them all the diapers and the wipes in the world, I would.
Yeah.
But it's like doulas are so valuable that I don't want them to be reduced down to only diapers and wipes. And
Mhm.
mom, your life is so precious that I don't want you to go into these not educated, because the only thing you can think about is your lack of. And
Yes.
so I was just like, the community needs so much. And there is so much money, but there is still a need of money. And there is still
Yeah.
a need of people who actually care, that want to sit down with people. And the other mom that I addressed was in a horrible situation, was going through a divorce, abusive situation, I think fourth baby, no support. And I went into her home and she's literally bleeding because she doesn't have anybody to help her to take care of these kids. And she's bleeding because she's up and doing too much. And I went in her home and it was a low income apartment in Jackson. And she was an artist. She was real life, like beautiful paintings. And I'm like, y'all, we got
Wow.
all of this talent. And she has 4 kids and no support. And like
Yeah.
I know at the end of this program, like it's gonna run out. Like this program is not meant to be with women like long term. Like she needed so much more.
Mhm.
And so like that's why I'm always thinking if we're creating these organizations, like how can we continue to make sure that after these 2 postpartum visits that moms get, how can we continue to keep supporting them? Because she needs somebody to walk alongside her. Like that's when I started thinking about, okay, how can we think about jobs? Like, we need to get her a job. Like, we need to get her connected with
Mhm.
an artist. Like, how can she sell this stuff? Like, how can we set her up on Etsy and sell
Mhm.
these paintings in her house to make sure that like she has what she needs, but also she has what she needs for these kids because she was on all of these medications as well for anxiety. And I'm like, I would be stressed too if I had all of this going on. And
Yeah.
so there's such a great need in our community for, these services, but also I just wonder, are these just band-aids and there are much bigger issues that we haven't even begun to address, and doulas are just
Mhm.
like the new it girls, and there's so many things under what we can like see. And I don't mean to get too deep, but
No,
um
that's good. That's good, and I'm happy you hit on that topic because I wanna address 2 things. Well, the first thing, Candace, she did, post a question. We're gonna get to it after this. But I wanted to talk about what you seen because even when I was working with mommy, those community baby showers used to break my heart. Like in the inside, I'd be taking my pictures and stuff, hey girl. But in the I mean, on the outside, I'm taking my pictures, doing my what I'm supposed to do. But in the inside, it was just like a reality check because literally you cross over to another city, another line, and it's just lack of resources, lack, and like what you said, baby, they just there for the free stuff, and it ain't nothing taken to them because it, like what you said, it's in survival mode, but it's just showing like me being thankful for the opportunity what I was given, but also how can I help more? It's like I just want to take everybody up and just give, but it's like
have
you
your
can't
Oprah
pour
moment.
from yeah, a empty cup. So it's just very important that we just try to find ways to empower mothers. And one thing I said eventually I want to do with my work, I want to have like a pipeline to success. Like for me, when I went into mommy me, I went into mommy broken. I was much heavier. I had a lot of stuff going on, but I funneled through it. I started getting my me back. Eventually I became a part of the team. And then I grew and now I'm a doula, and I'm a prime example. Like you can grow from it, but you also have to change your mindset to believe like it's going to be better. It's only a season. And I feel as though with moms being in the funk, it's hard for them to look beyond it because they've been in that place so long. So that's why it's so important for us doulas. Yes, we're doing work. Yes, we're helping with the baby, but like how what you said, you need to start really tapping into what's going on inside the household. What can they do outside of the baby? What are their gifts? What are their talents? Like what things they can tap into that can maybe be an outlet for them. And just to go back to Candace's question, what do you recommend for single moms that may not have a village supporting them?
Oh, that was good because when I first came into the program, I was a single mom. Well, when I first started managing the program, I was a single mom. So I would definitely say find the organizations and find people who truly care. That was a thing. I think that was my greatest strength. I've been through so much and I have so many experiences that initially we didn't have therapists. We didn't have the budget for it. So like I had a background in psychology. I have experienced back when I was 12, I attempted to unalive myself. And so I would meet moms with that compassion, letting them know, like, I've been there before. Then I have a child, I experienced postpartum, depression, and all of those things. Let's talk. So I would tell people identifying excuse me, genuine people, and they don't necessarily have to be professionals. I
Yeah.
have healed a lot with just working with the women that was in my program, like sharing
Mhm.
space with them, talking with them. I tell people one of the things I love doing was like getting women and sitting them down and listening to their birth story. Like that's why I wanted to create the documentary. I feel like when people tell their stories, that gives them an opportunity to heal. So if you can get your birth story out there and have people listen to your birth story, no matter if you tell it 1,000 times, every time you tell it, I feel like that's a way of us healing ourselves. You're getting that out there.
Yes.
And telling people stories that will validate you, and not in a way where you're trying to compare traumas, because it can get to that real quick, especially the argument of vaginal versus cesarean. That's a huge argument that people have, and people try to do a home birth against hospital. We all
Mhm.
had this baby no matter how it came out, and we all
Okay.
probably, well, not even all, none of us are the same since this has happened.
Yeah.
And that's what we can agree with. So identifying your resources and knowing who is out there and doing that and being proactive about that. If you're a
Yes.
single mom and you know that you're going into your pregnancy, um, as a single mom, you need to be proactive. You cannot sit around on your hands and not figure out who's out here and who's doing what. And don't let not having money stop you. That's what I would tell people all the time. You never know. I know OBs who went into their pockets to make sure that women's rent was being paid. I was talking to landlords during COVID. I was talking to the energy folks. You never know who will go to bed with you if if you just don't open your mouth. Open your mouth, because if
Mhm.
I didn't know somebody, I mean, if I couldn't like get the service to you, I probably know somebody who can. And I did a lot of reaching out to people in my back pocket, like, yo, this person need a phone bill paid. What can you do for me? This person need a ride. What can work in your community, work in your room. Um, and then also for single moms, as far as villages, connecting more, I would say, with your OBs. I know OBs get a bad rep, but at the end of the day, they're still people. Finding a way to connect with them, connecting with that nurse. It ain't got to be your OB. Connect with the nurse in there, and you never know like how that conversation can change your entire pregnancy. You never know how they will advocate for you. Knowing that system, if you know that you're a single mom and you're going into a hospital setting and you know nothing about birth, you need to figure out, okay, what are their stats? What is this hospital like? A lot of times people will tell me, well, I want a natural birth. Okay, what they mean? What they look like for you? Figuring out as a single mom, since you know that you don't necessarily have the resources to get what you want, working with what you do have. And what you do have and what you can be in control of is your birth.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna do your birth like how you gonna do your birth.
Mhm.
We have Google, we have YouTube University. I tell people put both of those things to work, because, like I said, when I first got on here, I didn't have an education, and I still do not have a formal education in birth work. All that I know is by running this mouth, reading a whole lot, and connecting with some amazing people who have helped me get into places that I could have never dreamed, and spoke on platforms that I would have never thought I would have spoken on. But that was
Yeah.
because I was proactive about finding out knowledge, being okay with saying, okay, I don't know. Evidence-based birth. If you are a woman of color, you can go on there, whether you're a parent or you're a birth worker, and fill out their scholarship, and you can get access to all of the information, everything. If you're hesitant about vaccinations, some of this stuff is free. I'm big on podcasts. I love podcasts because I
Mhm.
got two kids. I'm always running around. Evidence-based birth podcast is a really great podcast to listen to about a lot of these procedures, cesareans, hospital-based doulas, because I think they're starting to come to this area. Volunteer doulas, vitamin K, all of these things. There's information out here where you're not reading some random person on Reddit. You can go to evidence-based birth and figure this stuff out for yourself, and don't be afraid to ask those questions. By law, if you write 10 questions down on paper, your doctor has to answer those questions for you. Never go into your visit without having some questions down for that doctor, even if you feel like they're stupid. That is still something that you don't know, and if you don't know, how can you get in a place where you do know? How can you best advocate for yourself if you're not willing to take the time to write down the question and figure out what it is? You have to get uncomfortable. And I can speak for myself as being a single mom. I grew so much when I was a single mom. Now I be like, I can be stand behind my husband and let him make like decisions for me. But man, when I was pregnant with AC at MC, y'all, I was asking all the questions. I went through 4 OBs. My last OB that I got on, I did not even know this man. I might have went to like 2 appointments with him. And I was just calling people and figuring out, okay, what's in my community. I didn't do it nearly as much because I didn't know as much as I knew when I had my son. But like, I was trying to figure out what can I get, what can I get for free, because I did not have like a lot of resources in order to do things. So like, education is key, and I feel like there is a lot of information that's accessible to us, much more so than it was 5 years ago. You just have to be willing and in order to again get that information. And I recognize and understand it's not easy when you're by yourself and you're boggled down. But there has to be, you have to figure out how to get to that place. I'm big on telling moms, single moms, about routine. Having a routine saved my life. And I created that routine before my daughter even got here. I was in college. I was pregnant in my dorm. But I was making like in my dorm, I was setting that routine. Like I had a time when I was gonna study. I was gonna study all night. I said, if I ain't know about 12, I'm going to bed. So I set that routine. And when she got out, I set that routine. And I was finishing school, while she was sitting on my lap breastfeeding. Um, and so there are ways. It is hard as a single mom, but it's definitely doable with the information that we have out here. It's about knowing when and where. And then some resources, places I recommend, mommy. The Jackson Metro Mall is a great place. Talking to other moms, figuring out like what are the OBs, who are the OBs they should suggest, and why. If they had a great birth experience, tell me why you had a good birth experience. And it wouldn't
Mhm.
because, a lot of people think they're getting a good birth experience, but they don't really know what good is.
Mhm.
Because they don't know what they're supposed to do. So a lot of times,
Mhm.
I don't want to go on that when people be like, I had a good doula. Why do you think you had a good doula? You don't even
Mhm.
know what a doula is. They could have did anything. You telling me you got the bare minimum. And that's a whole nother conversation in itself.
Girl,
But
because I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop you right there, because baby, they good for that down here in Mississippi, honey. They'd be like, "Oh, my doctor," da, 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 da. In my mind, like, honey, baby, shit. Okay, okay.
yes,
I
in
just
my
like no.
so knowing why, and then taking what they tell you as a good experiencing and figuring out, were they really good, or was it something that you
Mhm.
had privilege to, or was it something that you could have had anyway, and you feel like it's good because compared to the other 5 people you asked, they weren't able to have it.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I think that also goes back to education. So I'm always the girl that's gonna say, "Look, pick up a book." I come from the era where we read a lot. Like if I wanted to know, an answer to something, my grandfather was big on go pick that book up, go pick that encyclopedia up,
Mhm.
and find it out for yourself. And I feel like it comes down to that because in pregnancy and
Yeah.
birth and postpartum, you have to, I hate to say it, but you have to be willing, I feel like, to almost be hungry, and we shouldn't be like that. We should be able to
Yeah.
kick our feet up, and we
You have
should be
to.
able to get princess treatment, but you can't trust that people will take care of you. You can't trust that even under your C-section while you down bad, that people are going to have your best interest at heart, because they don't,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And we have seen too many people trust in this particular person, whether it's in the hospital or out of the hospital, to have their best interest in something happen, because they're only human. And there has been a lot of error because of, more than ever so now, I feel like after COVID, we all tired. We all overworked.
Mhm.
We all underpaid. Um, and so that education part is big to me, no matter, what side of the spectrum that you're on, in the hospital or out of the hospital. You have to be willing to put in that work. And when you think you know, you don't really know. Because I will say that for me with the home birth. Um, I didn't realize, I was like, yo, a lot of these decisions, my decisions, like, I was like, I think they like. I think I was so big with AC. I wanted to make all of the decisions. I was like, now a lot of stuff left up to me. And if I choose to make this decision, what will it impact? Because it's going to like
Mhm.
not making a decision. Because people be like, I'm not going to make a decision. Then okay, you're allowing somebody else to make your decision for you, and that has consequences. If you make this
Mhm.
decision, how will it affect me and the baby? So again, you don't really know. And every pregnancy is different. Every postpartum experience is different because I feel like anytime we come out, you're birthing a baby, but you're also birthing a mother. And she's different every
That
time.
Yes, yes. And I wanted to touch on two things. The first, well, you said a whole lot of things, but the two things that stuck out is you real deal got to be hungry for it. Like the moment I found out, well, once I tell my birth story, it's gonna be funny because after the whole shebang, I kind of had a feeling I was going to be pregnant, but that's here and there. But once I really found out I had Ori, I immediately started getting to work. And because I knew the birth that I wanted to have. So you really have to be hungry for it. And those who are single moms, yes, you can wallow in, sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it is because,
Mm.
stuff happens. But put on the big girl panties and get to work. I think sometimes as single mothers, yes, we can be sad. We can feel okay, but you got to get out that mindset and think better, think positive, because I think so many times, like what you said, we can attach. And I want to say, me and Leela, we talked about you can attach to trauma and you make trauma being your story. No, trauma can be your testimony, but you don't have to always lead with it. So even when it comes to me and what I can share, I can share a whole bunch of stuff, but I don't want to lead with that because that will continue to put me in that funk, in that mess. And at some point, you have to transition out. And also, what you said about sharing your information, sharing your story to other women, your testimony builds faith. So if you share what you've been through, like even with, I didn't even know all that what you've been through, it gives me motivation. Like, shoot, I can do a little bit more. Like if you did this in college and you creating a routine, let me up my routine. So even sharing little pieces of what you went through, it will build you up. And then also it's a part of your release. You need to let that stuff go. And also us as Black women, even sometimes us being, not sometimes, being women in general, we hold in a lot of trauma. We hold in a lot of pain. And you have to let that out. You have to release that so you can become the next best version of you. And also, just because you're a single mom does not mean it's over, baby. Because it's plenty out. Don't let one monkey stop the show. Okay. So it's still time for you to create another chapter in your book, create another book, but don't think that your life is over. Your life is just beginning. It's just a new route you taking. So I'm just happy you did touch on that, but we are gonna start wrapping up. So I do want to ask a question for you. As far
Mhm.
as family and friends, what are some key ways family and friends can support a expectant mother during pregnancy and postpartum?
Whew. Um, family and friends. From a like a if I was gonna give family and friends advice, or like if I was a doula.
Both. However you want to
Um,
answer it.
as a doula, like I said, everybody has a role, and I feel like everybody has a unique role. And I feel like family and friends, they're the people that are with you all the time. Like I love being buddy buddy with daddy because daddy always gonna snitch. He always gonna say, "Yeah, she said she drank
Mm-hmm.
water. She ain't been drinking no
Go tell
water."
the
I
business.
always love giving them my number because they're gonna dry snitch on you. They're gonna tell me,
Yeah.
what you need to do because it's like how men think. Like if you tell men, I want your job to be, you need to be watching her water intake. He's gonna call her out with that. Um, and them getting up to date on different practices. I feel like a lot of times we had pushback, and I had pushback with the elderly. Well, I don't want to say elderly, older community, the older generation, because they just like, I don't know about no dude. That's a midwife. That's all they have
Yeah.
all of these like misconceptions about what it is that we do, or like we're in the deep south. A lot of people are religious. Like they just like you coming up
Mm,
here with all these, da, da, da. And I'm like, this not even what this is. Giving them
yeah.
an understanding. And sometimes if you got a good doula, You can, like, if your doula is sound and you know that you have a good doula, let them answer the questions. I like, if they're a great
Mhm.
doula, they're not gonna have a problem with it. You're, at the end of the day, you are inviting them into your space. And I think sometimes we try to shy away from that. But remember,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, once they get their money, once they get their money, or even if they're not being paid for the service, they're coming and volunteering. But remembering, once they are done with you, they get to walk in their life. They go on with their day. Their life
Mhm.
continues to go on. But this birth and how it occurred and how it went down, that's gonna be stuck with you for forever.
Mhm.
So you have the power to say, I used to always give everybody a disclaimer. I'm gonna set you with this doula based on what I'm telling you. But if there is at any point where you feel uncomfortable or she feels uncomfortable, please let me know. You ain't gotta tell me the specifics, but you know what's for you and you know what's good for
Yeah.
you. And I want you to be able to trust that. I feel like being able to dismiss. And you can do that in a graceful way, dismissing your doctor, dismissing your doula, by saying
Yes.
you're not the person for me. Or if something comes up and one of your family member recognizes, like, me and this person, we don't vibe well, because at the end of the day, the doula is not just for the mom, the doula is also for the family as well. And I don't mean that they're using this person to be a nanny, but also they should feel comfortable getting on the phone and stating, this is what I'm seeing, because that's great. That's how we get, like I said, they're with you 24 hours of the day. I didn't take offense to a mom calling me and having my name and picking up the phone and saying, like, hey, she's been real off, something's going on, because, like, that is how we're going to get down to making sure that moms are getting what they need, because at the end of the day, grandma watching the baby, grandma there with the
Mhm.
mama, like, so we need to make sure everybody's on the same page, and that starts with everyone being okay with the doula. If I'm working with a married couple, I'm like, and the mom's reaching out to me, I tell folks it don't even matter if I'm coming in and do birth photography. What your husband say about these?
Okay.
Cause if he don't want this to go down, I don't have side eye me. Like, I don't want no issues. I don't want any
Mhm.
problems, because I want to make sure, like, he knows that I'm here to support not just you but the both of you all. What does grandma say about this? Like, how does she truly feel about this? And I want to address her issues. Like, a doula shouldn't feel, or anybody that's in your space shouldn't feel any way about someone wanting to have healthy dialogue. And, like, when it comes to dialogue
Mhm.
and conversations, I feel like there'd be a lot of beef between people because we don't talk enough. We don't know what that person does and they don't know what you do. They just feel like you're trying to overstep boundaries, or they seen some on the TVs. All the doulas doing this, all the midwives, all the doctors doing it. That's the only thing they're going
Mhm.
by. But nobody's talking and communicating with each other. And so therefore it's us against them. And it should not be that way. So, family and friends, getting up to date on the most knowledgeable, the most evidence based or research based, up to
Yes.
date information, because a lot of grandmas, we gonna put that baby in the nursery. Grandma, when the last time you been to the hospital? They ain't had a nursery about 10 years now. Come on, man, healthy moms, healthy babies. So they don't know that stuff. But
Mhm.
again, you need to be able to, I'm a grandma. We don't do that no more. They don't do that anymore. This is what they are doing. Well, in my birthday used to. Well, I understand it, and letting her know, letting that mom, again, owning her birth experience,
Yeah.
not allowing people to trauma dump on you. That's okay, but I don't want to hear that. And the family being okay with it. And I feel like
Mhm.
as the birth worker, we set the tone for that.
Yes.
And when you come in as your most professional self, but you're also personable, and they also know that you care, they don't have an issue with you sitting on their couch and telling them this is what it's gonna be. And I
Mhm.
love you. We're gonna laugh. I've been to a couple of baby showers. I've been to a bunch of, what do they call them? The cookouts. But at the end of the day, it's about her. Like, if she tells me that she needs you to be out the room, I'm gonna, like, I let the entire family know that up front, because it's
Yeah.
not because I got anything against you. At the end of the day, it's all of us working together. I'm your doula, you know, I'm working for y'all,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna make sure she's taken care of in advance. I mean, not in advance, in advance. I'm gonna make sure. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting sleepy. I'll make sure she's taken care of in advance. That's super important to me, and I feel like expectations, like everybody knowing the expectations.
Yeah.
What does your family expect from me? Like, if they don't truly know what a doula is, they just like, this like supposed to be up here cooking and cleaning. She ain't doing nothing. She's sitting here. No,
Mhm.
or like knowing, like, a lot of times it's doulas, if they're good doulas, like sometimes I'm just sitting on my hands, just seeing what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what the mom gonna do. I'm not gonna be a, going crazy, getting all this stuff because it's creating more anxiety for the mom. Sometimes you
Yep.
just see me in the corner, I'm just with my book. But because I'm showing her if I'm okay, she's okay.
It's okay. Yep.
I'm modeling to you all how to be, how to act, and I'm gonna address myself. I'm gonna address and handle myself in a way where I can make sure that she knows that she's okay. She knows that she's safe. Other ways that family and friends can help is by making sure that they're just doing check-ins. They're
Yes.
not talking about the baby. I don't want to talk about the baby. I don't want to talk about baby shower. I would just want to talk about you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so many times I heard like the old saying of the black. I know you probably heard this a couple times. If you wanted to be about you, you shouldn't have had no baby. And I hate when people still
Mm-hmm.
post it because yeah, I had a baby, but I'm still a person.
Exactly. That's just an
Like,
addition. Sure.
just talk about the baby or after she has the baby. Oh, girl, I want to go here and get some mocktails. Girl, I want to go here and do this. You can bring the baby. Girl, I don't want to bring my baby here.
Exactly.
How about you say instead of us getting my, because my life is not the same. You have to
Mm-hmm.
recognize, your friends and family have to recognize after you have that baby, especially that first year, she's under a fog. She is not the
Yeah.
same person. She may have postpartum rage. She may have all of these issues going on, racing intrusive thoughts. Instead of you saying let's go out and try to make things like how they were before she had a baby, even if she has a support system where she can leave the baby at home, how about you say I'm finna get the baby, how about you go out by yourself? She can't even go to the bathroom by herself no more. And probably
Mm-hmm.
not for the next 5 years. And if you anything like my mom, we ain't let her go to the bathroom now. And she grown. She grown and we grown. Cause she had us when she was super young. So like we grew up more like friends than we did mother and daughter. So
Yeah.
like even there, and it'll be last like moms and daughters. I have seen that even in my student midwifery journey. As far as family, moms and daughters really diving through trauma, especially if that mom had her when she was young.
Yeah.
Um, in the black community, especially, there is and can be a weird dynamic between mom and daughter, especially if the
Mm-hmm.
mom is more advanced. I mean, the daughter is more advanced than the mom. Like the daughter
Mm-hmm.
married, the daughter, quote unquote, did things the right way.
Yeah. The right
There's
way.
just so many things there, and so many things come out from hormones from the mom that impacts everybody around them. And so I have seen moms not being able to progress during their birth because of mom issues. I've seen people not address their babies or connect with their babies because of their mom issues. Myself, I deal with that personally, mourning that you won't get an opportunity to have this relationship with your child
Yeah.
the way that you want to because you're still I feel like our generation is the generation that is breaking curses and that is hard to do when you also have children. Like I'm trying to get myself in a place where I need to be, but I'm also trying to raise this child. And it's
Yeah.
hard because I also have to accept the fact because I'm trying to break a generational curse, I'm going to bleed on this child.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like therapy. It's not just an individual thing. The whole everybody that's involved needs to come in because the first year is gonna challenge even the best relationships.
Yeah.
But really that mom and daughter relationship, so much stuff is gonna come out and arise in the mom. I think about traumas and things like it was so crazy for me during my experience with my son. I was thinking about things that happened to me back I was 5, like these things that are coming
Mm.
to my remembrance where I'm like, yo, that hurt
Yeah.
me. Like I never dealt with it. I never addressed it. But birth is just that powerful that it touched me
Yep.
on that level. If you hear baby screams, if that grandmother is involved, they can experience postpartum stuff right along with you. So them
Yeah.
making sure that they're in a place where they can really cater to that mom. Like everybody needs to see this as this birth as a way to make sure they're in a place of self improvement. Everybody's going to be different coming out of here, and we want to make sure that we're our best selves to address what that mother may need after this birth and what that baby may need. But we can't do that if we didn't experience any of the self-care things, any of the self-improve. Like we just was like around here pregnant, not doing anything. I
Yeah.
think that we have this beautiful 9 months for a reason, for the baby's development, but also for ours. Um, and so
Okay,
many things I
so
want to
we gonna do a part two, but
say.
before time end, this was such a good meetup. We're gonna have a part two next year in 2025. Again,
Yes.
this was just great. I want to say thank you for joining. I just appreciate you. I love
Yes,
you.
girl.
And
Love you
we
too.
hope that you all enjoyed this. I am going to link her information. But until next year for our part two, we going to see y'all.
Bye. Good night.